Back with Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I'm going to do a new campaign, and I'm going to do a couple of things a little bit different than the one that I showed earlier. For one thing, we're going to play Britain, just to give it a little bit different feel. We did Germany last time. For the same reason, we'll do a different era. Probably, let's do 1910. I'm going to keep it on normal for this one. We're going to go with, I'll explain why we're doing normal here in a second. We're going to go with random behavior. If I leave it on historical, the German historical behavior is probably going to be pretty cautious. If we go random, there's at least, it may also still be cautious by getting that same behavior, but they might be a little bit more aggressive if the other behavior gets picked. And not going to design own ships, which is why I'm leaving it on normal, because we're likely to not have as good ships as if we designed it ourselves. I'm kind of doing this to kind of throw in a little bit more of a wrinkle, and we'll be doing a little bit of role. I'm kind of setting myself some additional political house rules to throw another wrinkle into the fleet management side of things. So ideally, we are just now taking over as First Lord of the Admiralty, / also First Sea Lord, whichever you prefer, or a hypothetical combination of the two. Just as a war with Germany breaks out. And so we're inheriting what might be just a travesty of a navy, or it might be pretty good. We'll find out. Let's go ahead and start the campaign. The other house rule I'm setting before or set of house rules really, is if we decide that we need a replacement ship, hey, these heavy cruisers aren't working out, or armored cruisers, we need a new class. The UK has got shipbuilding firms in different major ports, and we're going to put out a bid for competing designs. There's going to be 3 hypothetical shipbuilding firms, one in Portsmouth, one in Plymouth, and one in Rosyth. And so so if we decide we're going to get a new version, new class of a certain ship type, I'll do 3 auto-gen designs, and then we'll pick and award that contract to the best one. I will allow myself to make a couple of changes to the winning design, up to 3 changes, and nothing too major. The other house rule relevant to this is you got to spread politicians are what they are, even in wartime, and you got to spread the pork around a little bit. So once one of these companies gets a contract and builds a ship, then the next time we want to build a ship, well, that guy can't build it, right? That'll make too many people in the House of Commons mad. So on the next time around, we only get to pick from 2 designs, and then on the next ship, well, we get 1 design because Rosyth, for example, got cut out of the last 2. It's his turn. He's going to build it no matter how bad it is. So we have to go through a cycle like that, 3, 2, 1, before we get to solicit 3 bids again. And then once I pick a new ship, I'm going to have to commit to building at least 2 of that ship if it's a battleship or battlecruiser, and at least 4 of that ship if it's one of the smaller types, before I can put out notice to solicit more bids for a ship of that type. Because even in wartime, it's not just strictly military considerations that go into all this stuff. So who knows? All right, what's our starting situation here? Well, let's see. We've got 10 battleships, got a lot of them. That should make it pretty easy to impose a blockade. Only one battlecruiser. I don't mind that. I'm not a huge battlecruiser fan. Lots of CAs, almost twice as many as Germany, but very, very few light cruisers and destroyers. So from ship type to ship type, he's got more of some, we've got more of the other. It's not, it's symmetrical in the sense that all 5 ship types are in both navies, but class by class, it's not really very symmetrical at all. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Let's see what the AI has given us for these types. We have a Mars class battleship of 26,000 tons. That's probably average for, well, that's actually pretty big for 1910. 27.8 knots. That's pretty fast for a battleship in 1910, and 14-inch guns. Only 2 turrets, though. 2 Durals. That's almost pre-Dreadnoughtish. Mars-class battleship. Medium range. Okay, I like that. Maximum bulkheads. I like that. It's cramped. Okay. Semi-oil. Induced boilers. Turbine engines. I would have preferred unbalanced rudders. Well, I can't look to see the various menus, but I think Group 3 is probably the highest we can get. We've got some barbette protection. We've got a pretty strong hull. Anti-torp 2, Citadel 2 by Citadel 1, double hulled. Light shells. Well, they're light shells, but they're light 14-inch shells. That may not be too bad. I'm glad we have higher than the minimum barbette because we do have increased ammo. White powder's fine. Really not a fan of picric acid. Fast slewing turrets, enhanced reloading. Stereoscopic advanced radio. It's a decent belt. Could be a little bit bigger, but it's not bad. A little bit light on the turret protection. Oh, no. It isn't just 2 turrets. It showed as 2 turrets because some of these are counted as centerline and some of these are side, and it counts those separately. But there's a total of 4 14-inch turrets and a 6-gun, a 3-turret broadside in either direction. Okay. I don't think I would have built it like that, but we'll see. It is pretty front heavy, 18.6 longitudinal weight offset. So tends to sit down by the bow. Not a fan of that. That's an accuracy hit. Several accuracy hits depending on the weather conditions. Okay. The pitch is not bad at less than 20, but that's a lot of roll. So she sits front heavy and she rolls like a pig with more accuracy debuffs. Or nurse, yeah. More accuracy nurse. Well, okay, that's what we inherited. Oh, what's her engine? She is fast at 27.8 with 100% engine efficiency. So she's pretty good propulsion-wise. Well, it is what it is. I can't... we don't have the menu, and so I don't have memorized about the what all the towers look like. That does not look like the highest end possible tower. So I don't know how accurate this thing is going to be. All right, let's look at our one battle cruiser. Well, it's a lot of guns. 5 12-inch turrets, and then a couple of 10-inch on the side here. Not that many secondaries, and the ones that she does have are only 3-inch and 2-inch. So there's a lot of little bitty guns kind of sprinkled along the sides here, but those are 2-inch guns. So if I were to make changes, which I cannot, right? This is an inherited battleship, but if I were to make changes to this proposed design, I would probably elect to dump the 10-inch turrets for one change, upgun some of these secondaries to like 4-inch or 5-inch for a second change, and then well, I'd have to build more speed into it. Good Lord, this is a 23 knot battle cruiser. Almost a battle cruiser, almost 6 knots slower than our battleships. I don't know what my predecessor was thinking, but this is not... Okay, you know what? I'm glad I only have one of them. Let's put it that way. Let's look at the armored cruiser. Okay, a little over 11,000 tons, 27.3 knots. Even the armored cruiser is a little bit slower than the battleship. And that's actually pretty... I wouldn't typically want a cruiser of either category slower than 30 knots, and this one, that's pretty slow for a cruiser. Maybe not in 1890, but by 1910, that's pretty slow for a cruiser. It's also got pretty low range at only 1/4 of the slider. Not a fan of that, so it won't help as much in establishing a blockade of Germany. I like the max bulkheads. I'm willing to live with cramped. I think I would have preferred upping the armor quality a little bit and would have sacrificed some anti-torp for that. But she does need the anti-torp because she's only single-hulled. Reinforced bulkheads, anti-flood, standard for shells, okay. This armored cruiser does not have any torpedoes, apparently. Armor is not stellar, not too thin-skinned. It's a little bit on the thin-skinned side. All right. Well, we have a lot of these things. And it's not that great. However, it is. I don't see any completely glaring... Well, I do. The fact that we have so many of them is going to maximize this rather low range. It's quite likely that depending on what we see with the light cruiser, it's pretty likely that maybe the top priority will be getting some higher range, faster armored cruisers pretty early. Armament is 8 inchers, fore and aft, and that's probably standard. Not super light, certainly not super heavy for an armored cruiser. She has heavier secondaries than that battlecruiser did, 4-inch and 5-inch. a whole bunch of 3-inch still, which is not bad for tearing up transports, which is something that cruisers wind up doing a lot in the battle generator. Other than the fact of the low range for such a numerous ship, other than that, this light cruiser is, or armored cruiser, which, you know, the precursor to the heavy cruiser, is okay. Light cruiser, which we only have, I think, 3. So, whatever, good or bad, we don't have very many of these. And we're looking at a 5,700 ton ship, 29.2 knots, which is not bad. It's a little slowish for a light cruiser. Again, with the low range. Few bulkheads. She's going to flood pretty easy. Is not turbine engined. Does have forced blowers though. Box 1, shaft 1, some balanced rudder. For a light cruiser, she's not going to be that maneuverable. Only hydraulic steering too. Better quality armor than the armored cruiser. Very good barbette protection. Double hulled, reinforced bulkhead. Well, this darn thing is, you know, they made it tankier than her bigger sister. Light shells, which do fire faster and are more accurate, but, you know, less oomph, less pin. I like white powder. Some of the light shell loss of damage is made up for by using picric acid. But of course that makes it more likely to cook off. So she needs that barbette 3. Fast slewing turrets and enhanced reloading. I don't hate that. Ooh, she is under armored even for a light cruiser of this era. Kind of an all or nothing scheme in that the main belt is armored, nothing forward or aft, no deck armor at all. So this thing is low range, relatively low speed, lightly armored. Where did all this tonnage go? If we didn't spend tonnage on all that stuff, where did it go? Didn't go to bulkheads. A few bulkheads. It only has one 6-inch gun, only 2 3-inch guns, and no, it has 3 guns. Oh my word. Okay. The rest of it doesn't matter. This thing literally doesn't have any firepower. Period. So, you know, I mean, it's marginally more powerful than one of the transports it would ostensibly be attacking or defending. Priority 1, I think, has shifted to we're going to need a different cruiser, light cruiser class, and as soon as those things start coming off the ways, this class will be summarily scrapped. All right, let's see what they did for us, or to us, on destroyers. Showing a little bit of an error here. However, the design is legal, apparently, or it wouldn't be here, so it will function. This happens a lot with the auto-gen designs. That something happens that you wouldn't be able to do, but because the AI did it, it kind of lets it slide. All right, this is a slow destroyer. We have a destroyer that's slower than our battleship. It's low range again. Max bulkheads, 100% efficiency, which is not surprising given that it's so slow to begin with. Reduced ammo shells, however, using all of a lighter caliber ammo storage is extremely rare. So even at reduced, that's probably not a big deal. Reduced torps, that kind of can be a big deal. So she's got a fair number of launchers. 3 2-tubers for a total of, 6 torpedoes in a spread. But at reduced ammo, basically it's a one-shot deal. Once she pickles off her torpedoes, she's done. She does have 3 4-inch guns. One forward, one sort of aft midships, and then one all the way aft. 3 4-inch guns is pretty decent gun firepower for a destroyer. The torpedoes are their main battery against other ships, against other warships. But those 4-inch guns, if at 3 per copy, not too bad for tearing up transports on a convoy attack. With this speed, I'm not super impressed with that, but I think that this destroyer is less of a liability than our current light cruiser design is. So our battleships are okay for now. Our battle cruiser, I think, is not very good. At least in terms of speed. I didn't catch the range on this. The battle cruiser's half range. Okay. So overall, as a fleet weakness, I would say that range is not where it should be. I'd prefer half range to be kind of the minimum among all of our classes, rather than right now it's the maximum. The battleship is okay. The battle cruiser is close enough to okay that I'm just gonna tolerate it, and happy that I only have one of them. I won't build any more of these. I can put up with the armored cruiser. It's all right, which is not bad because we have a lot of these. So the ships, the classes in which we're most numerous, which were the battleships and the armored cruisers, they are the least bad of these designs. And the battlecruiser bad design doesn't really hurt us that much because there's only one. And same with the destroyer and light cruisers, because we don't have very many of them either. Of the 2 smallest classes, I would say that the DD is at least it's armed. So in that sense, it's more serviceable for a while. These light cruisers gotta go. Gotta go. Now. Now. And the only reason I don't scrap them outright is I don't want to lose their tonnage for the power projection calculation on blockade. All right. Finances. We are going to maximize our crew training budget. We are going to maximize the transport capacity budget because we got to keep the economy flying. We have to get our crews trained up to veteran status as quickly as we can, because I can guarantee that the AI is doing it. And we are going to generally going to pursue a low or no tech strategy for budget reasons. However, let's just see if there's something really close. We are 7 months away at full funding for an 11,000 ton light cruiser. theoretically, actually, tech-wise, we are already technologically capable of building a 10,000-ton light cruiser, whereas our actual light cruiser was like less than 6,000 tons. So that alone warrants a redesign, I think. Given the fact we can build up to 10,000 as it is, that's a pretty big light cruiser. I don't think I need to pursue this, since we're already kind of not using what we already have. Gun layout, what can that give us in 7 months? 6 large centerline turrets. No thank you. That'll just drive the 3 auto-gen shipbuilding companies to come up with crazier, more unbalanced designs than they already will anyway. Mark II 14-inch guns. If we fully fund tech for 11 months. Not going to pursue that. I would really kind of prefer that the AI come up with designs featuring the Mark III 12 or 13-inch guns, then heavy it up with 14 inchers of either type. I don't think this is worth pursuing for 11 months. A lot of these down here just aren't in the game yet. They're not implemented. ASW. Oh, wait a minute. That's better hydrophones, which improves your torpedo. You know what? I am going to go for that. I will fully fund tech for 2 months in order to get better torpedo spotting. If it were like 4 or 5 months, maybe I wouldn't. 2 months away, let's do it. Okay. And I'm going to put out a bid to the Portsmouth, Plymouth, and Rosyth shipbuilding companies for a new light cruiser design. New design. Okay, so the light cruiser hull only goes up to 7,000. What those other techs were about were the semi-armored 2 and the semi-armored 3 hulls. These are counted as light cruisers, and those can go, you know, this hull is 7 to 10,000 and this hull is 8 to 12. These are going to be more expensive than the light cruiser. And I don't want to spend tons of money on these. So we're just going to go with the light cruiser design, which can be up to 7,000 tons. And the one thing that you can set, excuse me, the one thing you can set is your tonnage. You can't preset any of these other things. The AI will just change it, but you can set the tonnage. Our current cruiser is a little bit less than 6,000. Let's see what the AI will give us for a 6,500 ton light cruiser 2 hull. Auto design. Portsmouth gives us the Hermes class, which features 2 7-inchers, 4 2-inchers, and some torpedo capability at 30 knots and half range, max bulkheads, lots of crew. That will drive up its month. It won't increase the cost of the ship outright, but it will drive up the monthly maintenance cost. Increased torps. Okay, that is a solid submission from Portsmouth. Save that. Copy it. Actually, no, I don't need to copy it. New design. Plymouth gives us the Commonwealth class. No, sorry. Light cruiser. Correction, the Canterbury class at 6573 because I forgot to set it at 6500. Close enough. 25.6 knots. That's a ding already. Range is okay. Armed with 10 6-inch guns. 2 5. This is a very heavily armed light cruiser. 4 torpedo tubes, vice 2. It is slowish, but man, that's a lot of guns. Part of the reason she's slow is she's only using the not even the best, but the older expansion steam engine, vice a turbine. She's a little bit bow heavy. A lot of AI ships or autogen ships are bow heavy. It's just the way it works out. Pitch is not great, but look at this. Because it's got all of these 6-inch guns sitting here on the gunnels on this narrow beamed ship, and we got duals back here and duals up front. So even this weight is spread out toward the edges, not center line. Look at this roll, 44.5. Look at those accuracy penalties. And damage control, plus 11% water spread, plus 16% flooding. This design is, sorry Plymouth, it's just not stable enough. Her accuracy is going to be absolutely horrible. Doesn't matter if you got all the firepower in the world if you can't hit anything with it. Very unlikely I'm going to choose this design. And then finally, Rozith will make their submission. And 6,500. The attentive class is their submission, and we're looking at some 2 7-inch guns in these aft-facing mountings. Okay. Otherwise, 4-inch guns, 4 3-inch guns, some torpedo tubes, and it's slow. Lower range. Yeah. All right. I believe we're going to go with the Hermes class. Goodbye, attentive. Goodbye, Canterbury. And the Portsmouth-produced Hermes will be our next heavy light cruiser. Unfortunately, no, I can still do it. What changes would I make? Very good roll. Pitch is not bad. It's below 20 anyway. She's actually pretty well balanced fore and aft. That's a pretty low forward weight offset for an autogen. She has a stereoscopic rangefinder, which is kind of a long range, optimized rangefinder. So, the prototype Hermes class, I'm just, in production, after acceptance, she will be the Nottingham class. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go with the coincidence rangefinder, change number 1. Okay with that, okay with that. I'm going to bump up her maneuverability with electric steering gear. Let's go electro-hydraulic. Less chance of flash fire. We've already got increased ammo torbs, which increase our ammo det chance. Don't want to play with fire, literally. And she's using cordite, which has an accuracy hit. Until much later with more tech, you get to TNT types. I kind of prefer just sticking with the white powder. Let's change number 3. She's still under tonnage. What was it? Coincidence, white powder, and electro-hydraulic steering. And we actually even improved the weight offset a little bit more. Okay, so Nottingham is our new CL. Wait a minute, what? Thought I saved it already. Oh, yeah, this was just a placeholder when I first entered the ship designer. Okay. Okay, let's start off with 4. No. 8. 8 Nottinghams. That doesn't mean we're going to be building them simultaneously all the time. I'm going to stagger them in so that crew keeps up with manning the ships as they're commissioned. And it was the Portsmouth ship. That's where they're going to be built. And we're just going to kind of bring them online to kind of building and commissioning them in pairs. That way they won't all hammer this crew pool at once for manning the ships. All right, I think that will do for, we've kind of taken a look at our fleet, come up with a shipbuilding strategy and priorities, set our finances, and I think that will do for the first episode. And in the next one, we'll see how these less than optimal designs across the board do in battle.